Hello, and thank you for attending my presentation today on effective interviewing. My name is Michelle Ross. I am a nurse, and I have been a nurse for 16 years in leadership for the last 8 years. And this presentation will be focused on effective interviewing, and this is for my financial and HR management class taught by Dr. Wendy Sanders at Mount Mercy University. According to Thibodeau and Jeffords, HR specialists estimate only 5% of information obtained in interviews is actually relevant to the needed job skills. The interview questions we will be reviewing today will be centered around an interview for a RN position at our local hospital. We will want to review use of evidence-based interview questions, review importance of types of interview questions, and review how information is the most effectively collected during interviewing. Drexel University shared information for potential candidates on how a successful interview may begin. First, formal introductions would occur, and I would briefly run through the position description. In this scenario, Jane is interviewing to be an RN on an acute hospital floor. She'll be working 12-hour night shifts and caring for up to 6 patients at a time. To help build rapport, ease nerves, and assess basic communication skills from the beginning, the interview should start with the leading question of "Tell me a little about yourself." Next, I would then ask them to share with me why they are interested in this position and our organization. Performance and behaviors. Thibodeau and Jeffords stated in a 1991 journal on effective interviewing that it's important to go in depth more than just strengths and weaknesses and ask those deeper questions based on the candidate's answers. This helps home in on the behaviors of the candidate. A good leading question here might be, how has your prior experience shaped you for this specific role? Then, a bit deeper into the second question of what would your current supervisor tell me about you? How about your peers? This really has the candidate show how they feel others would describe their qualities. This forces them to have some honesty in prior performance as well, as this should accurately reflect received references. Let's say Jane reported that she can go too in depth with some projects and get behind as feedback that her current supervisor might give me. Now I will dive deeper into a behavioral type question. Can you tell me about a time then that you received constructive feedback surrounding your time management? How did that make you feel, and what changes did you make moving forward? Other types of questions could be about owning a mistake they made or potentially how to solve problems without policy or leadership involvement. Describe a time where you had to take ownership for a mistake that was made, or tell me about a time where you had to solve a problem without the help of a leader. These types of questions, again, will help with determining their behaviors in more critical situations, and the interviewer should continue down this path until they feel they have a good sense of how the candidate reacts in complex situations. Situational interviewing has been studied for decades and is one of the most widely utilized types of interviewing today. Maurer found that this type of interview can be a highly valid predictor of abilities, and it helps to assist in selecting highest qualified candidates, as well as removes potential bias. In the example of Jane, I would focus here on past clinical experience to see if I could gather more on her strengths and weaknesses, as well as how she may work as part of the team. Here are 3 questions I would ask in my situational interviewing portion. Can you provide an example of a time where you had to use your clinical judgment in a critical situation, and what was the outcome? Share a time where you went above and beyond for a patient or their family. And please share a time with me where you had to work with a difficult peer. What made them difficult to work with, and how did you resolve that issue? In closing an interview, I would ask Jane any additional questions that her previous answers raised. I would then provide her an opportunity to ask questions, provide a clear overview of next steps, including a timeline for decisions, and thank her for her time. By following the interview steps from introductions to closing, we now have a better understanding of Jane's communication skills and style, her strengths, her weaknesses, her decision-making capabilities, and the likelihood if she would succeed within the current culture of our team. Time for reflection and comparison with other candidates is important before working with HR on a final decision and potential offer of employment. Thank you for your time today. My email is listed if you have any questions.